see, according to something I saw on my profile on YouTube, that I've only done 1.2 thousand videos. I'm rather disappointed because I've recorded well over 2,000. I think it's somewhere near 3, and I'm really not clear now. I've lost my way of counting. I'm going to have to rely on what I've actually published as my... I can't be bothered to count the rest, that would go on forever. There's no end to it. I mean, there is, of course. God will bless you by taking me. Or shutting me up, of course. But I'll sing of your praise forever. Oh, you wouldn't expect anything less with eternal love, would you? Or eternal purpose. Or an infinite need for an infinite blessing. I'm unbelievably helped by the fact that it blesses me just doing it. And I guess that's why it's allowed me to do it for so long. Thank you, Dad. Love you to bits. Thank you for whatever blessing it's been and is and will be, wherever you might choose to use it, Lord. Just love you. Thank you so much. Just love you for the joy of doing it. Just love you, Lord. Thank you, Dad. Oh, I realise it's not so much. 1.2 thousand. I mean, if you think of a university contact hours, actual lectures, I mean, well, you might have 5 lectures of, depends on the university, you might have 5 lectures of 2 hours a week as you get into 2nd and 3rd year. Well, that's 30 weeks, 150 hours a year. Actually, it's more like only 100 hours a year because, you know, it used to be 2 semesters of about 20 lectures in all on each of the courses, and it depends how you do it. But anyway, it's only 10 or 12 years of study, isn't it? In real terms, a kid at school does that. Starts at 5, finishes at, I don't know, 15 to 18. In real teaching terms each day, I don't suppose he gets more than 2 or 3 hours a day. Very often much less. 5 to 17 is 12 years of study. So I'm nowhere near there yet. Well, not in terms of publishing. I am in terms of what I've got. It's double that. Easily. Yeah, easily. I don't get quite the thrill out of publishing what I've already dictated. And what happens is when I review, because I review, of course, before I publish it, and put it together in the form of a video, not just a recording, I'm, of course, it leads on to something else, and I stop and I do 3 or 4 other recordings before I get any further. So that the bringing the old recordings into circulation, publishing them, is a more than endless job, because it has this spontaneous enlargement feature of the amount of stuff to publish, which is what the fullness of life is, isn't it? It just overflows with abundance. Life is fantastic. We used to philosophize in economics whether there was a bliss point, and would you believe it, one of our professors, his name was Bliss. When he came to the department, it was bliss. He didn't like talking about bliss points and so on. I don't know why. I guess because he was a very conforming economist. You have to be a lecturer and whatnot, because to some extent, because you're supposed to teach the state of the profession to the novice that's come in before you, 2,000 of them, whatever it is, doing your course. Some of the first year courses are immense, now in these universities. But of course, if you're a true academic, as I understand it, someone who's seeking truth, you're not the least bit interested in all these dead and wrong theories that are laying around that you're supposed to present to the kids. You want to give them something new and exciting and interesting, and you want to take them to the frontier. I don't care if they're first years or not. I don't have to put it in jargon. I can put it in the everyday language that we're all used to. Well, if we weren't academics. I don't have to talk about allocation of resources. I mean, I can do. Most people can follow that. I can talk about what's best to do. It's the same thing. How do you do what's best? You prioritise, don't you? What's most important? When do I stop doing this and switch to doing the other? When I think I'm going to get more benefit from doing the other, of course. Don't ask stupid questions. You got to get some way through the first year course before you fully realise this. And when you have fully realised it, I might point out, there's nothing else to learn. The rest is just, well, variation on the theme, really. In many ways, it's much more fun to teach the first year courses than it is to teach the advanced courses. We used to say, it's funny how you get all these courses, they're all introduction. You do introduction in your first year, and you do introduction to micro and macro in your second year, and your third year you're still using them. Well, when am I not doing an introduction? Suddenly, when you go into the masters, you get advanced theory and think, oh, advanced econometrics, oh, advanced so-and-so, and you think, I wonder where the middle was. Am I supposed to make this leap? And the answer is usually no. The advanced theory is, more like imagination than anything else. It's so advanced. It's not really of much applicability to what's needed. I used to say in my first year, I said, yeah, well, what benefit is this university to the people in Colchester, the town nearby? My university was Essex University, which was, about a couple of miles outside of the town, what you'd call a city, Colchester. Oldest city in England, oldest recorded city. And, well, couldn't really answer me whether it was a sociologist I was asking or a political scientist or an economist or... Well, I didn't bother to ask the Alistair McIntyre. He was the professor of philosophy and logic to our department, to our school. School of Social Studies. And, well, he was far more on our wavelength. He used to give lectures in lunchtime, which had nothing to do with registered courses or anything else, and students used to flock to listening to it. No exam, no interest, no qualification at the end. Qualification was you'd heard him. Fantastic guy. Terribly secular. But super chap, could relate to the students wonderfully. However, I shouldn't hold in praise of man too much. But nice to know what we value, isn't it? I remember I gave a public lecture in the town, in one of the theatres, big theatre, and they're called the Mercury Theatre. Is that right? I can't remember that. No, I'm not sure of that. The topic was supposed to be money. Of course, I'd got all these odd bods sitting there in the audience, and some of them would have been academics, of course. I mean, you know, normal population's got a fair proportion of academics in it. And most of them weren't. And there were lots of kids. That was good. And, we had a lovely time. I just loved talking there. It was great. I was fully alive. Such a joy. I hope I was a blessing to them. I think I was. Thank you, Dad. Oh, should I have said something profoundly spiritual and religious? Hang on, let me think of something. Life is a joy. When I was about, 12, I've said this before, but I'll say it again, in a different way. I just decided I was going to be happy. I was sick of Mum being suicidal. It troubled me terribly. And I'd become mournful, as if I had to reflect the same philosophical view. I didn't. I'm going to enjoy life. I choose to be happy. I choose to be happy. I choose to be joyful. And later I chose to love. I chose to care as a humanist. I chose to enjoy. Earlier I chose to enjoy being at school. I chose to enjoy the difficult teachers. I chose to enjoy their lessons. I chose to enjoy study. I chose to enjoy my friends. I started to realise that some of the boys were actually caring of the other boys. They were good to each other. That was good to see. I chose to enjoy the city of London. I chose to enjoy having to wait before I could go to university. I chose to enjoy switching from London to being a student teacher for 2 years before I went to university. I chose to enjoy the children teaching and the staff and the variety of the staff and all the opportunity it gave me. I had a car that cost me £20, lasted a year. I chose to enjoy it. I had another one, the same model, lasted another year. Given to me off the yard. He said, take it away, I can't get the steering to work. By the time I got it home, the steering was much freer. It just needed use. Would you believe it? Lasted me a year. Free car. I lived just opposite the garage. They gave it to me. Had this dear old lady, Mrs. Abbott, widow. who looked after me like a son. As an incredibly traditional lady, I mean, there'd be food left for me when I came in late at night. There'd be a flask and some sandwiches. What a sweetheart. I being trained as a house husband, would go in the kitchen and help her wash up, do the drying up. She nearly dropped dead with fright. Men in her generation didn't do that. She thought I was wonderful. I thought she was pretty good too. When I couldn't do further study because I'd run out of cash, I chose to do a nice job, where a trainee social worker, where I could just help people and be a direct blessing, not some nebulous, infinite, distant blessing. I chose to love my clients, chose to love the staff. They didn't seem to love each other too much, but I chose to love them all. I didn't care whether they were the boss or the, what do you call it, team leaders or other fellow social workers or other trainees, or the the admin staff and so on, the secretaries. I just chose to enjoy them all. I chose to be held up, and then I chose to switch to teaching. And then again. And that was lovely. I've so enjoyed teaching in that Suffolk, Hadley, rural town, 500 kids in the secondary school, Just lovely. And then I was back at university doing the masters again. I chose to enjoy it, of course. Got married, I chose to enjoy the housing. The lovely kindnesses so many people gave us. Furniture, housing, encouragement. Chose to enjoy the church, the religion. Not my religion, but it doesn't matter. They seem a bit strange, these Baptists, but I wasn't used to Christianity, but that didn't matter. I chose to love them. Chose to enjoy. Tremendous blessing. Verse 5, closer than close. Chose to enjoy it. When I realised that she wasn't quite the warm, affectionate person that perhaps one would really appreciate, I chose to enjoy it nonetheless. I chose to enjoy all her other qualities until she chose to go. And then I chose to enjoy that. Well, after feeling desperate, of course. Well, I mean, I am human, I think. I'm not ungodly. So I chose, in the end, to accept that she'd gone. And of course, God gave me someone else. And that went the same way after a while. Another 18 years, but wonderful marriage. All three of my marriages, yes, there's three, I'm afraid, all wonderful. I chose to be thankful when they finished, despite the distress. And the distress was reduced dramatically, drastically. Not quickly enough. I wasn't quick enough. But, well, it works, I tell you. To thank God for everything works. I don't care what the validation or justification of it is. I'll tell you the justification. It works. You have a disaster, you thank God for it. You're rolling in pain, you surrender it to God. You say, I let you run this, Lord. You are my God. And honestly, if you take me now, well, that's just perfect. You're going to do that? He says, no way. Your time's not yet. Get up. Well, I don't mean I got those, but in effect, I did. Pain's gone. Trouble's gone. We're healed. every difficulty, you try it. And if you can't try it, well, I understand that. You need more practice in that case. That whatsoever is good and lovely, think on these things, because you'll be happy to thank him for those things. And then you'll find gradually you can thank him for all things. Wow. You're way into miracles by the time you get that far, I can tell you. Bless you, and you are blessed. You're a child of God. Can you think of any greater blessing than that? What a future to be a child of God. How's that for overcoming doubt and uncertainty? When you own that, think on it. You'll know I'm right. It's annoying, but I am right. Bless you. Thank you, Dad.